On today's show, we're pitting the two newest Wranglers head to head, the hybrid 4xe versus everyone's favorite badass in the 392. So let's do it. Let's get into it. Let's talk about it. All right, what's up, Wheelers? You're listening to the Light Bars and Lockers podcast, the show where we answer your Jeep questions, talk about badass builds, and discuss ways to beef up your ride. I'm Paul from Jeep, and as always, I've got my two usual suspects. We've got TMR Tim Rogers from TMR Customs and Ryan Strange from Combat Off-Road. What is going on, guys?
What's
Up. Again, of course, anyone joining us, if you have a 92 or a 4xe or are considering either, jump into the comments and just leave a note. We'd love to hear your opinion, your thoughts. Hit that like button if you're just tuning in. And and that's it. Let's get started. I think, and I could be wrong, but my guess is that we're gonna have Tim on the side of the 4xe, and I don't mean in terms of your personal preference, but I know Ryan loves that 392. So
Dude.
we'll break it up a little bit in that respect. And,
Yeah, it'd be a short podcast if you wanted me to talk about it.
Right. All right, awesome. Well, we all know that Jeep, they thrilled fans with the launch of that much anticipated 392 V8. But of course, the 4xe is the one that is potentially poised to shake up the market. Obviously, the first hybrid electric off-road vehicle that's supposed to be as capable as a Jeep. So, Tim, why don't we start with you? Can you break down some of the details on the electric 4xe?
Yeah, definitely. So the 4xe, like you mentioned, it's a plug-in electric hybrid. So it has both an electric motor, basically as an assist, and a gasoline motor. So it's not fully electric by any means. When you don't have electric power, the gas motor just takes over. So it's good from the standpoint you don't have to worry like it's fully electric like a Tesla and you're going to go out on the woods on a crazy adventure, get stuck off road and be stuck dead battery, dead in the water, dead in the mud, whatever.
Big solar blanket panel.
Yeah, exactly. And
big parachute, get you
be prepared to camp, rooftop tent, the whole 9 yards and wait for it to charge up. But no, that's not the case. So it's nice that you have the backup, I think, of the gasoline motor for how people use Jeeps. I also thought it was pronounced, when I first saw it, I thought it was a 4xe. I didn't realize it's a 4xe, like E, obviously electric. I thought it was like a 4X, Gen X or Extreme, and the E I queued in on the electric. But yeah, literally, I found out this morning it's the 4xe. I was calling it the 4xe up until now. I mean, probably shows my interest level in the thing.
Just an accent issue, no big deal.
It's my Canadian accent drops.
There you go.
4xe.
And there's the 4xe up on the screen there.
There's the picture. So yeah, you notice the blue accents on it. That's kind of the dead giveaway on it, on the Rubicon and the tow hooks there. In terms of charging, if you want to plug the electric motor into a 110 volt outlet, 12 hours for a full charge of the electric motor. So I mean, that's ridiculous. If you go to 240 volt, then it's a 2-hour charge. Which is reasonable. I mean, if your neighbor's got a Tesla, maybe you can swing over at his driveway.
Run your extension cord.
Yeah. Plugging in a Jeep, I think, is hilarious in itself. I mean, it's going to get some good looks.
Right.
The electric motor, it adds 2 clutches in place of the traditional torque converter in like the 8-speed transmission. And those work to disengage and engage either just the electric motor, just the gasoline motor, or the electric and gasoline together. The lithium-ion battery pack, it's under the rear seat. All the electrical components, I shouldn't say all, but the bulk of them they reside along the driver's side frame rail, so opposite the gas tank.
So if it catches on fire, you burn first.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's
under your passenger.
It's under
the
kids in the back.
Right.
I mean, the kids are more nimble to escape, so maybe it's the right choice.
That's right.
Power-wise, both motors combined pull 375 horsepower, and in the torque department, it ties the V8, so 470 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty rad. I mean, that's a decent amount to get up and get moving.
Right.
Few reviews I read in terms of road manners, people actually liked the ride better of the 4xe because it has the additional weight of the batteries in the back. So that kind of led to even 50-50 weight distribution. So people thought it felt more planted, which I can understand. Anyone that's driven a Wrangler knows the thing's a box, and wind just kind of attacks it as you go down the highway or freeway.
I like Toaster.
Yeah,
Toaster's
Toaster's very
If I had to pick Toaster.
And then the electric motor, it has some advantages for like rock crawling and slow speed trail riding, because obviously all your torque's instantaneous. In terms of how long it will work off road, you probably want to drive there on the gas motor, or drive in like there's an e-save mode where that uses both, but you'd want to conserve some of that power for the trail if you want that feature where you want the instantaneous torque. And Jeep claims it'll last for several hours on the trail, so maybe it's going to get you a morning or afternoon session. Once you start putting bigger tires on it, though, that's obviously going to reduce that. Yeah. So I'd be curious as to real world versus like the reviews and not. But yeah, that's kind of the 4xe or 4xe as I'll say in Canada here. That's kind of my
there you go. All right,
yeah, my high notes on it.
All right, awesome. Michael says he's tuning in from the oil patch, so welcome, Michael. And then we've got Mr. Estrada leaving the little Jeep symbol right on. So I'm curious with that instantaneous power, because I'm pictured like a golf cart. I mean, that's the only electric engine I've ever driven. But when you press down the gas, you gotta wait a second.
So yeah, Jeep's really manipulated the computer programming of it and whatnot. So they've made it so that pedal is essentially a longer travel when it's on the electric mode. So it's supposed to be like a smoother input. If you rug it completely to the bottom, it's going to kick in the gas as well for that power. But yeah, they've supposedly played with that. So the torque curve, all the power's there, but it's not like the gas cart where it's just an on-off switch. Because if you want to play the on-off game, you're going to be talking axles and transfer cases real fucking quick.
Make some good videos though. That's
it'd be fucking sweet. But probably not what you want to do. So obviously they've thought of that in the design.
All right, cool. Do we have any idea on like pricing of it?
It commanded I think like a $7,000 or $8,000 premium US over a similar appointed Wrangler with either the gas motors. But depending on your state or province, oftentimes you're getting a kickback or a rebate. Yeah. So that could offset some of that cost for someone that wants to pursue this.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right, cool. So then Ryan, buddy, you're up. Tell us what you know about the 392.
Jeez, man, Tim had a lot of information there. I'm kind of nervous. Well, I didn't divulge that much. I know that I didn't dive deep, but the 392, I know that it's only available in the Rubicon for sure. So you can't get any other models.
Yeah, I think the same with the 4xe, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Did you see that, Tim? Was the 4xe in the Rubicon only, or is it everywhere?
I didn't see that spec, but when Paul mentions that now, any I've seen are Rubicon trim. Right? So it's probably the same.
We just had a customer with one in, and he's a good customer of ours, and he keeps trading his Jeep, but he says he loves it. But I talked to him in the parking lot, and I didn't even glance over to see. I was going one way, and he was there, and I'm like, hey, what? Just having a chat. And then I saw, what do you think of it? He said he really loves the 4xe, but I didn't even notice if it was a Rubicon or not. So
I'm going with yes. I think you're right.
So I know the 392 is all Rubicon, all 4-door, and all-wheel drive, which kind of maybe puts a dampener on it in my mind, but it's probably reasonable. It should be interesting to see against both platforms to see if there's any kind of special requirements for lift kits. You know what I mean? Like coming out, like if there's any major differences. I really wish I stuck my head under that. We've had a few at the store, not a ton. I think under 6. Like I was talking to you guys about it before, like for the 4xe. Sorry, I just now that I'm gonna make a note of them to tell me when something's in, I'm gonna look at it. I want to take a peek. But I think that was the major things for it. I know how to like a frame reinforcement, and it comes with Fox shocks, and I believe there's very similar to the Fox shock you get on the Rubicon Gladiator. Minus like valving and all that fun stuff. But other than that, they're pretty much a regular Rubicon Wrangler. That, from what I could tell, I don't know if you guys saw anything different.
I was gonna say, it says you mentioned, Tim, is 490 horsepower, so same horsepower.
470 horse, 470 torque. And then one kind of cool thing is, like you're saying, with the additional cross member in the front to deal with the weight of and power of the V8. they've lifted it so that Jeep sits.
Oh, right.
An inch higher than a
right
standard.
altogether.
Yeah, an inch higher than a Rubicon, or
But
2
they
inches
still
higher
put
than a
33s
non-Rubicon.
on it instead of like 35. So it does look kind of like needs a little leg workout. You know, it looks kind of funny.
Yes.
So it's a weird stance, but if they might have done that for just getting their ETs and stuff, right? Like just a lighter, smaller tire.
Yep.
Yeah, what else was I thinking about that thing? Oh, yeah, the cool thing is the exhaust cutout, the electrical cutout. Make it loud, the loud pedal, the loud button.
Yes, and it's like
awesome.
electronically controlled, right? The sound. I was trying to find a clip. I was saying to Tim, but the sound. Have you ever heard the 392 yet? It is sick. You just, cold start. It sounds, it's badass. So, but let's unpack the all-wheel drive thing. So one, Tara says, "Hey, Tara, what's going on? I see you." Dion says all-wheel drive only. And yeah, that's my question. Right. So let's unpack that just a little bit. What does that mean versus like a standard 4-wheel drive? Well, I guess it's full-time.
It's like a 2-speed case, right? So you got always all-wheel drive. So you always have all 4 wheels getting power. And then you got a low range where all 4 wheels get power. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. So you don't have the ability to select just 2-wheel drive, so just rear-wheel drive, right?
Right. But what about when it comes to like the transfer case and stuff? So if you're off-roading, do you still like have lockers or?
Yeah, totally. It's got all the other Rubicon options are there. Okay. It just, the only difference is you don't have 2-wheel drive. So it's really not it wouldn't really be an issue for off-road in my opinion. And I know that the low range of the case isn't there because it created too much torque or something like with the ratios stacked up. So the Rubicon case in the 392 is a lot higher range than the regular Rubicon. So I'm sure you're going to see people come up with, I don't know, they probably changed it quite a bit. So you can't just swap over an OE Rubicon case into it and have selectable. You're going to have to probably buy an aftermarket case and have aftermarket adapter of some sort. Like it's too new for me to know that kind of change up, but someone's going to do that. And then someone's going to be blowing stuff up and then it's going to get bigger. It's just going to go like this. It's our little cool little nice snowball and it's going to just be this giant monster ball that comes down and destroys everything. That's what it's going to be.
All right, cool. Well, let's dispel any biases. So, Tim, have you owned either hybrid or the? I guess the 392.
No, the hybrid truthfully doesn't appeal a ton to me. If it was all electric, yeah, I think that's the way things are going to go. But and then like Ryan says, the 392 is not available here yet, but I'm sure it'll be. Canada's always last. I'm sure it'll be coming along.
You're not first, you're last. No. Okay, no, that makes sense. Interesting you say about the whole like being completely electric, because I mean Jeep is all in on this, and I'm with you. I mean, regardless of what you say, whether it's but what anybody says regarding fuel versus electric in the future, it's all going to be electric. So I think I'm glad that Jeep's getting out ahead of it and that they're going to keep their dominance. But I will say I love the idea that they're putting charging stations on badged Jeep trails throughout the U.S., which is pretty interesting as well. I mean, at the end of the day, there's pros and cons to everything, right? So there's obviously cons to the electric vehicles. That they get the lithium is, I think they use children in Africa, right? Like, I mean,
you're going to see that though. You're going to see. I think you see a flip. People start seeing gigantic destruction holes in the ground everywhere. We're not going to like electric vehicles so much anymore, and the narrative is going to change to fossil fuels are abundant and they're available, and actually they're not as bad as we thought previously to the environment. That's just going to change the story
and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. So then, Ryan, what about you? Have you owned either? Obviously, I guess the answer is no based on
no. I've seen them in person, but I didn't really I haven't saw the 392 in person because I'm not allowed to leave here.
Okay, cool.
Just well, then me and the horse, so we just hang out.
I know the answer. That's right. I know the answer to this, but if you could pick either, if you were to buy one today, which one are you getting?
Dude, even for the extra $8,000 over the extra $30,000 in here, I would pay the extra $30,000 to get the V8.
I was just gonna say, what is the difference in price? Is it? It's not 30, really? Is it 30?
It's about 30. Yeah, but that's kind of like where you're at least to swap it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
So I mean, it's kind of realistic, and then you get a warranty, and you get like all the back end. Like instead of like a couple guys made a really cool kit, and then 8 people have done it. you got a whole team of engineers that design this thing for a mass production run. So you're going to get a lot more QC, QA there. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, as much as it'd be cool to swap all that stuff and do all those things, I mean, it's going to be more efficient and more reliable, honestly, from the OE. And if you do have a problem within a reasonable time period, you're just going to drop it off there. Hopefully they take care of you. I mean, obviously, but you're going to have a better shot at it, protecting your investment that way. And then the resale value is going to be much higher if you decide to step out. Like you step out of an LS swap JK, great. I think they're amazing, but you're never going to get what you put in it.
Right.
You know, and if you buy one of those other 392s, you just leave it and then sell it. Like you're going to have a better chance at recovering the money.
Okay, that makes sense. And Tim, what about you? If you were handed the keys to either, which one is it?
392 all the way.
Yeah,
V8 Jeep's just more.
The horse
fun.
nodded his head. It just he went.
It's the horses behind the horses.
Horsepower.
And I don't know. To me, that's gonna be a collector's item down the road. Truthfully, whether I mean Jeep might be coming out with more motors and shit, but yeah, I truly believe, right or wrong, we could do a whole show on that. But yeah, I believe the future is all electric. So to have one of these in a decade or two might be pretty fucking rad, because I think Jeep's putting a big push on it now. Well, they can. I think this is kind of the last leg of the option and availability to do this. So I think they kind of want to go out with a bang.
Okay, right on. So then the question that I was going to ask that Ryan sort of touched on there a little bit. Let's take the 4xe out for a second. Let's just talk about the 392. The 392 versus an LS swap. Which one would you choose? Again, you were handed whatever. Like money's no object. You had to choose. You've got your Super Jeep that already has the LS3 in it. Which would you choose that?
I would choose the 392, like Ryan says, for factory integration, one computer, engineered system. I would definitely go with that. The LS swap's a lot of fucking work. If someone else did it for you, fuck, that'd be sweet. Because that would be sweet. I mean, you can't have that done, but yeah, I think to be able to buy this from the factory and have a warranty behind it and have service across the nation if you have an issue and you're on
service is a big one.
Service is a big one. So yeah, no, I would definitely go with the factory 392 for sure.
All right, cool. And then Ryan, same was, I guess you answered that question.
Yeah, the only thing that would be like a variable would be like if the money was no object, period. You know what I mean? Whereas just lotto money, I would get the Demon swap 2-door, like I've talked about 12 times, because I don't really care about warranty or fixing it. Like at that point, I could drive it and just roast it, and then it blows up and be like, oh, we'll probably gotta try the 392 now that we fucked that one. You know what I mean? Right. If we're in that kind of money, cool. But if it's like reasonable, like real money where I still gotta work for it, then I'm gonna go with the 392.
All right, cool. All right, and then so then sort of getting back to the two, let's talk about features you guys like the most. So Tim, what's your favorite feature of both 392 and of the 4xe?
So the 392, in my opinion, Jeep kind of rolled that out as a shot back at Ford, because of the Bronco. I mean, when they started leaking pictures, it was on like the Bronco debut and shit. And I like that because, I mean, ultimately, it's like you mentioned earlier, it's competition in the marketplace, which is only going to benefit consumers. Had the Bronco not come along and maybe shook Jeep up, would they have done that? I don't know. So yeah, my favorite thing is the fact it's Jeep kind of hopefully flexing their muscle and trying to assert dominance in a market where they're going to finally have some competition. So that's what I like best about that. All right, cool. And then what about the 4xe? Just that it's like kind of a tip of the cap and towards the future. And like you said, Jeep's kind of ahead a little bit. Although Ford, like this week or last week, came out with that like all electric F-150 that's got some real numbers behind it. I mean, obviously it's going to be mass produced and commercially available. Everyone's seen other electric trucks that are supposedly coming. Well, I haven't seen shit on the road. I think that F-150 is going to be first to market. So I just like the 4xe because I think it's realistically it's a look towards the future and where things are going. Sure. And before Ryan, I get you the same questions. Facebook user says, does everyone think the lithium supply will last forever? No, I don't either. I think it's just they're gonna have to find it's a stepping stone. I think. I think it's a popular narrative, man. Yeah. No, exactly. No, it definitely. It's gonna become very expensive. We're in for some
bumpy roads ahead, I think, regardless, right? So but I will say I personally like the idea of having more in the market, right? So then you have the option. If there's less cars on the road, overall less pollution, fucking like left-wing crazy people are a little bit happier, then maybe they'll leave us alone. We can drive our 392s, right? Like, I don't know, but no, I definitely don't think it's gonna last forever. It's definitely a stepping stone. They're gonna have to figure something else out. I don't know what, there's all this, conspiracy theory around, Hitachi, I think it was, or some like Nissan bought some company because they have these amazing fuel cells. Anyway, regardless, no, I think it's a stepping stone, but I think
maybe we'll go to
we
hydrogen.
just have to innovate. That's all, right? Like, just the world has to move forward, and I think we're doing that now. And I'd be glad if there's less people driving and gas prices come down, and then I'll drive my gas vehicle all day long.
Yeah, man.
Right. Okay, so Ryan, question to you: What's your favorite thing about the 392? Like, what really kind of like you want it? So what is it?
Just the motor.
Yeah, just the motor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go as philosophical as Tim. I'm going for the raw nuts of it all. Just motor, and I want to push that electric exhaust button. I might just disconnect it and have it open all the time, to be honest.
There you go.
I don't need quiet anything down.
Yeah, turn her up.
That's
all
it.
right. And what about the 4xe? Anything?
You know what? Honestly, I'd like to take it off road and punch in the electrical mode there and build something suitable for some reasonable obstacles. It doesn't have to be crazy, and just see how that is like climbing. Like you climb that little fun mini wall that everyone's breaking stuff on the last couple of weeks, which is hilarious. I take like stock 58-year-old women up that. You know what I mean? Sorry, Paul, but we move them over. We don't cheat. Like we cheated. But you know what I mean? Like so, like
watch other people not make it up there too.
I got up there. It was actually my fault. I put you too far over for your breakover, but that's okay. But anyways, I just want to see what that's like. Just climbing some stuff, like just for fun. That'd be something I'd be interested in. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, then what about the future of the 392? Then do you think the Jeep is going to keep building on that? Do you think that they'll bring out like more horsepower? Like that'll be a whole division that they'll just keep increasing and doing better things with the engine? Or do you think it was just as Tim said, and I don't think that you said this exactly, but they did it to kind of one up Bronco, and then that's it. It's like a one and done.
Well, Mopar's always been really cool with bringing out like edgy products that way, right? Edgy colors, edgy like motor combos, like cool stuff. Like so, I'll give them that. Like they're awesome that way. They have a nice race division, right? So, I mean, if it does the numbers they want, and there's not any like EPA like Smashdowns where it changes like their overall like whatever carbon credit thing or whatever kind of issues you have. Like if they don't have to dissolve it, I don't think they will. And if it makes sense from them and a bean counter point of view, or they just want a lost leader to like say we're still cooler than you, then I think it'll roll. So I think we got more chance of seeing now that it's available, just seeing it go, and they'll probably have like they have the Trackhawk, right? Like they had the Grand Cherokee with the big motor, and then they stuck a supercharger on it, right? So maybe we'll see an even more expensive, cooler version that has a power adder,
I forgot to throw up a picture of it. That's the 392. That was the initial concept. I think this is like a real world one. So you can see in this picture in particular, you can see that extra 2 inches. Like you say, it definitely looks like it needs
like Teen Wolf. You hang your fangs.
Right. Exactly right. All right. And then so Tim, same opposing question. What about the 4xe? Do you think like that's a growth area for Jeep? Do you think they're gonna start doing some more, I don't know what, badass stuff with the electric platform?
Okay. I think that's gonna roll into all electric. So I don't know how vested they are in the hybrid, because like I don't know what the long-term future of that is, but I don't know. I think this thing's kind of just a tipping of the cap to what's to come, and maybe it's some pandering to the liberal narrative. And hey, we offer an electric version, and it's all sunshine for everyone, so we can pump this V8 out as well. I don't know, but it totally could be. But I don't know what the future of it holds.
Yeah, fair enough. And I could totally see that. I mean, there's so many quote unquote soccer moms, and hey, and soccer moms want to drive a Jeep, cool. I don't care. But
That is-
I think that there's just so many people on the left side of the spectrum,
Mhm.
if you will, that why not? I mean, Jeep's here to make money, right? Open up a different division, open up I mean, when they did the 4-door, which was super unpopular with hardcore Jeep owners, right? Like they tripled their
best
sales,
thing they ever
quadrupled
did.
their
Yeah.
sales. Yeah, right. Like sold
Well,
so
that's
many
what
of them.
Henry Ford does too, right? He's like, hey, if I'd asked the people exactly what they wanted, they would have told me the faster horse. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like
Yeah,
same
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing,
right.
man.
That's
Just
yes.
you get a good idea, figure it out, roll it, hit the market. Like, I mean, not like we got to tell those people. They got teams of hundreds of people that sort that out. But that's kind of part of it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone says Cummins powered hydrogen Jeep. Now I don't know what that involves, but that sounds badass to me.
Yeah, if they can have like a cell that won't rupture in
I
impact,
heard
so
that
they
that
don't
was the thing
destroy
with hydrogen,
78
right?
people. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. You hit it from behind, and it takes out a block.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoops.
Yeah, everything's like this. What was that? Oh, it was a car accident in the next county. Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, no big deal.
Exactly. Right. All right. So Todd says that we don't have the infrastructure to go electric cars. Let's reopen the coal generators, produce charging requirements. Yeah, and make sure we get hydro to everyone. So fair enough. Yeah, I get that too. I mean, that's just in terms of I think supply and demand and what have you. Yeah, I mean, again, I think it's a stepping stone. I think there's always problems with everything, right? We
Totally.
stay all gas. We got to figure out like how we're going to deal with that. I'm all for making sure that there's more refineries out there, but again, I think it comes down to government, right? They're not interested in making that happen, so maybe Jeep's just hedging their bets and covering the whole spectrum. So
But it could change in every like 5 years too, right?
Yeah, right. That's right.
The government is the worst people on the planet. You know what I mean? They're
Absolutely,
just
right.
evil out for their 5-year plan. Like, what makes me look
That's
at how much
exactly
can I
it.
take
You
home?
get-
I don't care
right.
about the rest. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's political, but that's just kind of it. So,
No, that's it, right? I mean, that's what it's become.
they sell like
getting reelected.
they sell like public assets for just personal gains. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, how do you sell highways built by the tax people?
Yep.
Like, how do you do that? Like, that wasn't yours. You didn't build it. You know what I mean? How can you just sell it? And then in the next term, so what else can we liquidate here that someone else paid for? Like, they're fucking losers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's right. All right. So back to the whole like motor choice and Jeep in particular, right? So Tim had a good point. He said, questions like, do you think there's with all the motor choices that it's like muddle up the market, make it confusing for the consumer? I'm going to say yes, because like I love this stuff, and even I have a little bit of a hard time keeping track. So because we've now the V6, right? We have the 2-liter turbo, we've got the diesel, V8, and the electric.
And the 392.
And the V8, yeah. So Tim, what do you think? Is it just too much?
I think like choice is nice as a consumer, but yeah, if you ultimately if you walk into a dealership, they're gonna probably pitch you what's
on the lot.
What is on the
yeah,
for
right?
sure. They're gonna sell you what's there, but realistically, they're probably bringing in what the most people want to. So I mean, there's somewhat. Yes, if you're a niche Jeeper and you're like, I need that V8, and that's the reason why. But yeah, I wouldn't expect to see a pile of those on the lots. They know what sells, and realistically, they have what is right for people. But I think from a manufacturing standpoint, cost-wise, that's got to be fucking stupid to have all those platforms to support. So yeah, I don't think long term you're going to see all those stick around. I think they're going to I think they've got a lot of choice right now, which is cool as a consumer, but I think some of that's going to get pulled back.
Yeah. Potentially. You got to see where, I mean, I don't know the mapping of like, I don't know the workflow and how it works, but I know that there's common parts, right? So like those motors are offered in XYZ vehicle platforms, right? So they might have had a run, right? Where I got to make 2.8 million motors to hit my mark. So now I have to offer it in XYZ models to support that workflow, right? That's a total possibility. Like, we don't really know how they work. And I don't know. I don't feel like it's too many options. I think they're all geared to price point, right? Like, like I think you got to pay premiums. Like, so the standard motor I think is the V6, which is a great option, right? I think you got to pay a little premium for the 2-liter, if I'm not mistaken.
I think they're switching that. I could be wrong, but I personally think they're gonna get rid of the 6. They'll keep the 4-cylinder, they'll keep the 8, and they'll keep the electric. But
Yeah.
they'll get rid of that 6-cylinder.
You think so?
That's my personal opinion because
Maybe.
the 4-cylinder is
They
awesome.
just
I love it.
remodeled the 6 though too, right? Like so they spent a lot of money on tooling and they redeveloped it. So it's a different motor than the original 3.6.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I
you know
mean?
what? It could also be, as Tim mentioned, excuse me, it could also just be based on like location and you know what I mean? Like people perhaps and I'm just throwing this out there, I'm not saying this is the way it is, but people in the Northeast may be more apt to buy the 4-cylinder versus people in the Midwest that are all over the 6-cylinder. And so maybe they'll look at it that way and say, okay, so we'll offer the 6s in this area and the 4s in this area. Because I know when I got my 4-cylinder, I originally was going to go with the 6 because that's what I knew and everybody said, hey, get the 6, it's the way to go. But I saved a couple bucks going with the 4. They gave me a discount because they had a lot more of the 4-cylinders on lots, even though I had to order it. But yeah, a lot more of them were available. But I gotta say, I love it. Now that I made that choice, I love my 4-cylinder. The gas mileage, even with 37s, is better than my 35s in the V6. It's peppy, it's quick. I really dig it. So
be interesting to see long term, like how, like depending on how long you keep that one, and then like how long does that turbo motor last under like how much boost does it actually got a pound to move that around?
Yes,
you know, it could be a better performing motor in another platform, and then we don't know the performance longevity in this platform. You know, there's those types of things that are of interest. I mean, you're potentially more of the guinea pig on it because you own that one, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, like I said, like big difference. I think they're going to still have like the 392 and that 4xe because the price points are quite a bit different. So, you know, people are going to pay for that, however they feel. If they really want the 4xe or whatever, because they're like, that is just the coolest idea. Or they're like, I just need V8. That's the coolest idea, right? So you're going to pay that premium anyways. And so I don't think we'll lose those two. You know what I mean? Like I said, Tim was saying maybe full electric at some point. But again, someone's going to pay a premium for that one. You know, and then if the governments and whatever bodies decide that we have to have all electric vehicles forever, which would be interesting too, then they'll have to change all that structure, right? They'll have to have an affordable electrical power plant and then a cool premium one and then a super elite one.
Well, the other thing to consider is these rebates can't last forever either, right? Like you know, Tim, you mentioned like you get these rebates, so it makes it more advantageous, but they're not going to last forever, and it's totally dependent on the government that's in power, right? So they could change tomorrow, which is what happened here, right? So we had the green whatever rebate in place, and then new government said no, we're not doing that.
Swap it,
and then people who had already bought the cars and were waiting for that rebate got screwed, right? Like, oh no, 8,000 for you, man.
No big deal, you'll be fine.
Yeah, right. Well, in most cases, I think the argument was that at the time it was like high-end cars, like people are buying Teslas and shit like that. So, you know, whatever. You know, it's like everything else, like just tax the rich. They don't, you know, not to say that they're rich, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like it's somebody else's money, who gives a shit. Way to go, government. Yay. All right, cool. So yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think it's going to come down to that, like, because we know that the V8 is it's a proven engine. It's going to last forever, right? I mean, right? I mean, that one is solid. We know the 3.6 is solid. So it's really, we're guinea pigging on the 4-cylinder.
I think the diesel will be first to be gone.
Oh yeah, good point.
Right or wrong, I think it's just diesel.
Europe's trashing diesels, right?
Yeah, and North America's all over it. Like, so I feel the restrictions on those are just going to make it uncompetitive for OEs to manufacture. Right or wrong, the thing still gets the best fuel mileage in the whole line. It's fucking stupid, some of these narratives, but I think the diesel will be gone first. And I feel people had a serious hard on for the diesel when it first came out. I thought it was super appealing, but then the V8 came out and I'm like, fuck it, I want the V8 myself. So
dude.
I think it kind of killed some of that. So I think the diesel will be the first one to, if you want to look at the current offerings, I think the diesel will be the first one to disappear.
Yeah, 100%. Because
it's a big money too, right? It's another 8 G's for the diesel.
Is it that much? Yeah. I know that when they brought out, so when Daimler Chrysler brought out the diesel for the Liberty, right? Because everyone was like, oh, I'm waiting, I'm going to get that diesel, whatever. And then they didn't sell them. They were sitting on the lots. Nobody even bought them. So and so then they killed it. Also,
That's a
right?
motor with lots of problems too.
Is that why? I see. It's
terrible
probably
engine.
why, because they literally just sat there and didn't sell, so they pulled the shoot on those as well. But it's Daimler, so what do you expect? So, okay. So with that said, did we miss anything? Is there anything we want to touch on that we maybe missed? Something that
There's something I don't
pros and
know
cons?
if anyone saw. So every freaking one I've seen, every 392 I've seen has a hard top with an electrical or retractable roof. I
Does
want to
it?
know if they come with a normal hard
Yeah.
top and a normal soft top, because that's what I've
You
always
can-
seen.
You can get all 3 tops, is what I read.
Oh, cool. Okay, good.
Obviously
Because I was like totally like, fuck.
Yeah, they're pushing that one, but you can get it with all 3 tops. I think for me, the shortfall with the V8, the 392 is I don't know if it's going to come, but they're saying obviously right now it's not available on a Gladiator.
Oh, right.
And I'm stupid happy with mine, so I'd have a real top. Like a JL's nice, nothing wrong with
Yeah.
it, but like I want the V8, but I'd have a tough time getting stepping back from the Gladiator. So at that point, maybe it's
just
like
buy another one. Who cares?
I was just gonna say,
I
I'm not
know.
gonna lie. I may have been looking at a Gladiator.
Just up the door liner sales there in the next couple of weeks. Fucking
That's
fire
right. That's right.
yeah, or I'm like maybe if you want to stick with maybe the diesel's appealing in the Gladiator, then I don't know. But yeah, I'm happy with mine. I think they'll come around, and if the V8 does well, then I think it's going to land in the Gladiator. I think that'll happen. But
Right.
yeah,
It's the
that'd be
same with the
cool.
electric is only in the
Yeah.
JL as well, right? Yeah.
Maybe it's more like a testing grounds, right? They're
Yep.
like, we've got this far to concept. Let's feel the market and then move forward. You know, I mean, who knows?
Cool.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't even
no,
know how well Gladiators do, and I know that they're very popular on the internet. And I
Yeah.
know owning one, I really enjoy the vehicle. I just don't know what their sales numbers. I'm sure we could find it, but
I think
I
that
don't know what they are.
so this is 100% just like anecdotal, but
Yeah.
so when I bought my JL, there were Gladiators everywhere. I could have got a Gladiator like the day I walked into the dealership. There was probably 5 or 6 on the lot. I had
You
my
should have.
pick. Yeah, I know.
No,
now
I'm
I
kidding.
want one.
Your truck looks awesome. man.
No, I love it as well. But honestly, like I don't do a ton that I would need to have a truck,
Yeah.
but to have a Gladiator with the ability to throw a few things in the back would be sweet, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I should have. And they look so badass too. Like, you know, you get the 37s and what have you on those. Oh, killer. So, but at that point, they were sort of everywhere. The tons of them all over the place. Now, that was the end of the model year, right? Like, so it was whatever, March, I think. And now I think you're waiting. Like you can't even find them anywhere. Like I think, and
that could be a problem with all kinds of supply chain.
Sure, definitely. Right? But I think that again, anecdotal, anyone that I've talked to that has one loves them so much that they seem to tell everyone. And then other people are like, well, I hadn't really considered it as a real option, but you see them out on the trails and more you can see that they're actually capable. You can take it off-road. You can go wheeling with it. It's versatile. You can throw stuff in the back. It's got big enough interior that you can get the family in there. It's just a well-rounded vehicle. I think that, again, my 2 cents is that the popularity is picking up. And I think in the US in particular, like when we put Gladiator stuff on our channels, on our social channels, they do amazingly well. People, it's huge that little social, niche community, and they love their Gladiators, love them, you know. So who knows? Again, anecdotal, but I feel like the popularity, I think that they're just gonna get better and better and more popular, and hopefully Jeep puts a little bit more into them, in giving them the V8 and the electric engine, what have you.
I think Jeep just kind of does a shit job branding it as a truck. If you watch most Jeep commercials for a Wrangler, it's here's this one, here's like they just show them all and it's mixed in there. And my neighbors, they think I have a truck. They don't even realize that's a Jeep. Like one guy asked me a couple weeks ago, is that a Hummer? And I'm like, dude, you've been
the H3T, bud.
Yes, exactly. No, he did. And I was like, and he owns a pickup truck himself. So I'm like, I think Jeep kind of needs to brand it that it's a truck. And he told me this guy currently has a Ridgeline. It's older. And he's like, I'm going to be shopping for a new truck. I'm like, fuck, get one like mine, man. I'm like, I love the thing. He's like, I think I'll just get an F-150. And it's like, he's not even aware of, I think truck people aren't even aware of what the Gladiator is or kind of what its place in the market, what its place in the market is. That's why I feel the Jeep people know. And if you want it, and like, if you're a Jeep enthusiast, you're aware of it. But I feel like Jeep needs to make some commercials of the Gladiator
for the
on its
truck.
own, not
So
just
it
mixed in
needs,
with
needs
the
proper
Wranglers.
messaging, right?
Yeah,
It needs
yeah.
a proper. It
Yeah.
doesn't have like a defined home like
Yeah.
in the market space.
Yeah, no, you're right. They're marketing it to Wrangler ones. It's just like, hey, if you're thinking of buying a Wrangler, but you want the versatility of a truck, buy this. Not going out to the truck people saying, hey, like,
Yes.
do you
Which
have
is-
a viable option over here at Jeep?
Or like, why can't they figure out where they like shadow or model the like the Colorado Canyon like market space? Like those guys are mini trucks, and those
Yep.
trucks are compatible,
Yeah.
like compatible or comparable. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like
Ford fucking Ranger.
Ford Ranger again, right?
yeah.
Same thing, right? Like, why not? It's just funny, and then you get to take the roof off, which is even cooler. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
I just think they look
Kid.
better too, right? Like we've lifted a ton of Ford Rangers over the last few years, and once you like lift rims, tires, it's so much nicer. I mean, in my opinion, it looks so much nicer. But I wouldn't be excited to own one personally. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I think it's more of like you buy it and you've got it and you just want to do something to it, and it's like, okay, now maybe I'll throw this on.
Yeah.
Again, there are people that are diehard Ranger
Right.
owners.
Yeah. Oh no, we have a couple customers that take them out and
Yeah.
beat the crap out of them, and then we have
Yeah,
normal people that just drive every day, just wanted a lift
Look
rim
cool.
tire, and
Yeah.
it actually looks really good. It's just not for me. It doesn't mean that's not right or wrong, but it's interesting. I really want to see the Bronco, to be honest, like the real one. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so we have in an upcoming show we're gonna get our hands on all of these. We're gonna do an in-depth review on the 4xe. We'll do one on the 392, and then if we can get a Bronco, we'll do a versus, if you will, of the two, and hopefully at that point we'll be able to do it in person, so we'll be able to do a bit of a walk around. But yeah, the Bronco, I can't wait to see it, because you hear all these things, you see like it showed up at Easter Jeep Safari, and apparently a stock Bronco outwheeled the Jeep, which is whatever, because you know what I mean. Like you can take a stock Jeep and outwheel you know what I mean. And if you know what you're doing, if you know how to drive it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I think it'll be great to get a hold of those and look at the differences and all that fun stuff. So yeah, again, if anyone listening, thanks by the way for making it this far. If you have any thoughts on an upcoming show or anything that you want us to discuss, just send us an email at podcast@jeepbeef.com or a comment. Throw it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button, hit that little bell so you can be notified of new and upcoming shows. In most cases, I guess they're out on Thursday. So anyway, yeah. So I think that's not a bad idea. Is to just going back a little bit, but we should do a Gladiator versus like the World show. You know,
the world. What
That's a good
Gladiator
idea.
versus like Ford 150 versus Ford Ranger, whatever.
Yeah.
And
Tacoma, yeah, that's a great idea.
Huh.
Oh.
Not cool.
I'm getting the Department of Homeland Security, which I get all the time. It's
really?
Homeland Security calling about my, I don't even know what, but yeah.
You got raccoons and you got holes in your wall and you got people hammering.
Hey, the raccoons are gone.
You're just, are they? Good.
Oh yeah, raccoons and they just vacated themselves. It was
Really?
fantastic.
So it's more like a vacation than a relocation.
Right? Yeah, but they're not getting back in now. But yeah, one of the little babies fell out. My dog like attacked it, and then that was it. The mama just took them and out. Yeah, I'm like, and it's the most gentle dog on the planet. I can't believe it. She didn't like attack it, but she was barking, and
Defended its
it was
turf.
great. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, all right, cool. All right. So, did we miss anything when it comes to the 4xe and the 392?
I don't think so. I mean, without like having them.
Yeah. We'll circle back, and if there's anything we missed, we'll cover it in our little in-depth. So, all right. With that said, then, hey guys, I appreciate you both being here. I learned a ton as always, and of course, everyone watching and listening, we appreciate you. Please, if you're listening on audio on a podcast, Apple Podcasts is our most popular one, followed by like Stitcher, I think it is, some random. Anyway, leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. It certainly helps us with understanding what you all like and what you don't like. And again, if you have any ideas for shows, just leave a comment, email podcast@jeepbeef.com, or you can catch us live every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern at facebook.com/groups/Jeep podcast or on the JeepBeef page. And that's it. So with that said, we are out. And guys, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks. That was fun.
All right. Later on.